Hello, our subject is strength of material or material strength. Material strength can be defined as the resistance to failure. What is failure in material? For different material, the criteria for failure is different. Like for ductile material, permanent deformation is the failure. For brittle material, crack is a failure, and for some material, uh, percentage reduction in area and percentage elongation is the failure criteria. So we'll start the subject with some definition. Okay, the first definition is stress. Okay, so the stress is defined as internal resistance per unit area. Okay, it is also called conventional or engineering stress. Okay, so what is internal resistance? Suppose we take a bar. This is our bar. Okay, and we apply a load. AI is its initial cross section area. When we apply equal and opposite load, then it will resist this load by applying this internal resistance. It will resist deformation. Okay, so this internal resistance is equal to applied load until it deforms. Okay, permanently. Okay, so this internal resistance per unit area is called stress. Okay, where AI is cross section area, P is load, and sigma is stress. When this applied load is increasing its length, then it is called tensile stress. When this applied load is decreasing its length, then it is called compressive stress. Okay, the unit of stress is Newton per meter square. Okay, the unit of P is Newton, unit of area is meter square. So this Newton per meter square is also called Pascal. Okay, the next definition is strain. Strain is defined as change in length. Strain is defined as change in length per unit length. It is also called conventional strain or engineering strain. In the above case, when we apply load, let the change in length is del L and initial length is Li and strain is del L by Li. Okay, so this is represented by epsilon and it is a unitless quantity because the strain is length by length or change in length by length, so it is unitless quantity. So what comes before stress or strain? Suppose we apply load like this. Okay, the metal will try to deform. Okay, then deformation will come first, and after slight deformation, this bar will offer some resistance to the deformation. Okay, it will try to bring it back. Okay, and so then the stress will come. So strain comes before stress. Okay, so next definition is true stress. In simple stress, we have taken initial area. Okay, whereas in true stress, we will take instantaneous area. As we apply load, the cross section area goes on decreasing. Okay, if the stress is tensile, okay, it goes on decreasing. At any instant, suppose A is the cross section area. Okay, then this load or internal resistance per unit cross section per unit instantaneous cross section area is called true stress. Okay, true stress. Okay, so P by A is P by A is true stress. A is instantaneous area, A is initial area, A node is final area. So there is difference between AI and A node. Okay. Okay. The next definition is true strain. The true strain is defined as instantaneous change in length to instantaneous length. Suppose we apply load P, its initial length is Li and final length is Lf. At any instant, length is L and there is small change in length dl. Okay, then true strain integration limit LF to Li dl by L is called true strain. Okay, ln L LF by Li. Okay, so we put the integrated limit ln LF by Li is true strain. Okay, so the true strain is epsilon T is equal to ln LF by Li. Next, the relationship between true strain and simple strain. So the true strain is epsilon T ln LF by Li. Okay, so true strain, if we add plus 1 and subtract minus 1 from LF by Li, then we will reach LF minus Li. We'll take this minus 1 by Li. Okay, this LF minus Li is change in length, overall change in length, and Li is initial length. Okay, so plus 1 is, so this LF minus Li by Li is simple strain. So simple strain plus 1 is equal to 2 strain. Okay, so this is our relationship between two strain and simple strain. Next, there is relationship between two stress and simple stress. So the simple stress is P sigma is equal to A by P by AI, and true stress is P by A. A is instantaneous area, AI is initial area, and sigma is simple stress, sigma T is true stress, P is load. Okay, at an instant load, we can take the load as constant. Okay, okay. Now the true stress. Now the true stress. Now the true stress is P by A and simple and simple stress is P by AI. To drive the relationship between true stress and simple stress, will take the volume constant. Here AL is instantaneous volume, Li is initial volume, and A naught L naught is final volume. So from this we can derive A is equal to AI Li by L. Okay. Now if we put this A in true stress, then it will become P by AI Li into L, because true stress is P by A and we are putting the value of A here, AI Li by L. Okay. Now, if we assume that instantaneous area is the final area, then the instantaneous length will be the final length. Okay. Okay. And after this, the uh, extension will not occur. Okay. We have reached to the final length. Okay. Now we can also write L is equal to LF. Now LF by Li, we can take it in bracket and add 1 and subtract 1, then it will become sigma t PAI LF minus Li by Li plus 1. So sigma t is equal to P by AI epsilon 1 plus 1. Okay, so this is true. P by AI is simple stress and sigma t is true stress, and epsilon is simple strain. So this is a relationship between simple stress and simple stress and true stress and simple strain. So next topic is our stress strain curve. So you may have studied the stress strain diagram. You may have studied, you may have performed experiments in universal testing machines, finding the extension and all and other stresses in foam lab. Okay, so in universal testing machine. So stress strain diagram is nothing but load extension curve. Okay, why it is load extension curve? Because from the universal testing machine, we cannot find the stress. We apply load and we measure deformation. Okay, we measure deformation because PA initial area is constant. Okay, and initial length is constant. If we divide the stress P by AI initial area, then it will become stress, and if we divide change in length by Li, then it will become strain. So it is actually the load extension curve, and we are dividing P by Ai and change in length by Li. So it will become stress strain curve. Okay, so this is so stress strain curve is the load extension curve given by universal testing machine. As initial area and initial length are constant, so it can be assumed as the stress as assumed as stress strain curve. So in universal testing machine, while performing experiment, we are taking mild steel as testing material because it give all the critical points uh, like A, B, C, D, E, F. We will study further. Okay, we will study later. Okay, uh, whereas other materials like cast iron or rubber or may not give all these points. So from a study point of view, the mild steel material is the best material, best testing material. Okay, so this is the graph between stress strain curve. This graph starts from 0 point. Okay, it means at this point the load is zero and there is no extension. If we increase the load slightly, okay, then there will be some extension. It will be temporary extension initially. Okay, so up to point A, as we increase the load, the extension will occur, and this OA is a straight line. Okay, so up to point A, the load is directly proportional to extension or stress is directly, you can see stress is directly proportional to strain. Okay, so this A point is called proportional limit point. Okay, so stress is directly proportional to strain. Stress is equal to E epsilon. Okay, sorry, if we remove the proportionality constant, we will introduce a constant E, which is called Young's modulus of elasticity, and this law is called this law is called Hooke's law. Okay, this law is called Hooke's law. So up to proportional limit, the stress is directly proportional to strain, and A is proportional limit point. Okay, now if we increase the load further, okay, the stress, the A B is not a straight line. It is curved. Okay. But on removal of load, okay, up to point B, on removal of load up to point B, the material will comes back to this point. Okay. So the metal will behave like an elastic. Okay, if we extend it, it will extend up to point B. If we remove it, if we remove the load, it will come back to zero. Or we can say the extension is temporary up to point B. But Hooke's law is not obeyed between A and B. It means stress is not proportional to strain between A and B. So the point A is called uh, proportional limit point or limit of proportionality point, and B is called elastic limit point. Okay, so so we I will read it out for you. As the load is further increased beyond point A, the graph takes a curve. It means the stress is no longer proportional to strain, but up to point B, the metal is elastic. It means on the removal of load, the material regains its original shape and size. The point B is called elastic limit point. Okay, so up to point B, there is no permanent deformation. On further load increment beyond point B, the permanent deformation occurs. Okay, or we can say that the material will not come back to point O, or there will remain some extension in the material. Okay, so this behavior continues up to point C. This behavior continues up to point C. It means if we increase the load, okay, then there will be extension, if, and the extension will be permanent. But at point C, if we want to cause further deformation, we need not to increase the load. You can see that the graph is a straight line. It means the stress is constant, but strain is increasing. Okay, this point C is called upper yield point, where the material uh, deforms automatically without increase in stress. Okay, so this behavior continues up to point D. This point, this region CD is called yielding region. Okay, it means the metal will deform automatically without increase in stress or without increase in load. So next point, next, if we if at point C, okay, if we decrease the stress slightly up to point C dash or load slightly, the deformation will remain same. You can see that graph CC dash is a straight line. Okay, graph CC dash is a straight line. Graph CC dash is straight line. So C dash is called lower yield point. If we decrease the load further, okay, if we decrease the load further uh, beyond point C dash, the material will not, the strain will not remain same. It will start decreasing, and material will follow this path. Okay. So this point is called, so this region CD region is called yielding region. Okay, this region is called yielding region. Okay, the point C is called upper yield point and CD is called yielding region. The point C, I read out for you. At point C, even if the load is decreased up to point C dash, the deformation remains same. The point C dash is called lower yield point. So CD is the line where the stress remains same, material changes its length, and C dash is the line where the strain remains same and stress changes its value. Okay. Once the point D is reached, okay, where D point is, okay, once the point D is reached, on further increase in load by beyond point D, there will be sudden reduction in area, sudden and large reduction in area. And up to point D, there will be small reduction in area, which may not be visible by naked eye. But at point D, there will be large reduction in area, and this reduction in area continues up to point, this reduction in area continues up to point E. Okay, with the increase in load. Okay, with the increase in load, with the increase in load. Okay, so this region D is called necking region because here, when the reduction in area takes place, there is neck formation. Uh, there will be neck formation. So this uh, region is called necking region. Okay, the point A, sorry, the point E is the ultimate stress point. Or at this point, even if we decrease the load or stress, okay, even if we decrease the load of stress, there will be uh, permanent deformation or decrease in area. Okay, even if we decrease the load up to point F, here we are increasing the load and neck is forming. Here, if we can decrease the load and neck is also forming. Okay, without increasing load. Here, okay, without increasing load. Okay, so the point once the point E is attained, okay, then at point even if the load is decreased up to point F, the metal has to break. Okay, the point F is called breaking point. Okay, it can be analyzed that stress at F is less than at point P. Okay, but this is the case of simple stress and simple strain. But when we take the true stress, okay, and true strain, hmm, then the stress at point F is more than the stress at point E because at point F the cross section area is negligibly small and in true stress we are taking the instantaneous area, and at point E the cross section area is more than at cross section area at F. Okay, so but load is less for F. Even the load is less for F and more for E, but cross section area is also more for E. Okay, so the graph for two stress and two strain is different than that of simple stress and simple strain. The reduction in area starts from D. Okay, and the for the same load, the cross section area at E dash is less for true stress, and for simple stress it is the same as that of initial area. Okay, so for the simple stress the graph will be curved. Okay, but for true stress the graph will be a straight line, and F dash will be more than E dash, and F dash is more than E, and E dash is more than E. Okay, so the graph will be straight line for true stress and true strain. Okay, now I read out for you. Hmm. It can be analyzed that the stress at F is less than at point E. This is true for simple stress and simple strain as initial area and initial length are taken for calculating stress and strain. But in case of true stress and true strain, the true stress strain curve, the stress at point F is higher than stress at point E. The true stress strain curve directs its nature from point D, where The sudden reduction in area takes place with the increase in load. The true stress strain curve is shown in figure on the next page. ठीक है? The area under cross section area. Now this is our stress strain curve for simple stress strain curve. Okay. For most of the material, A and B point are same. It means the elastic limit and proportional limit are same. Okay. So the this area under OB or OA when A and B are same is the strain energy per unit volume. How it is strain energy? Okay, this is strain energy per unit volume. If we take stress as E by A, okay, and strain as del L by L, okay, then the area of triangle OBH will be P by A into del L by L divided by 2. Okay, P into del L by 2 will be force into displacement, and this will be energy, and divided by AL is volume. Okay, so this is strain energy per unit volume, and when we take it up to elastic limit, then it is called resilience. So, and similarly, the area under OFGO is toughness. ठीक है, represent toughness. Okay, toughness. So this is toughness. Now the area BFGH is the measure of ductility of material. What is ductility? Ductility is the ability of the material to be drawn into wires. Okay. For the material to be drawn into wires, it has to deform permanently. Okay. The permanent deformation starts from B. Okay. Permanent deformation starts from B. So lower the B, easier will be it will be easier to deform it. Okay, so and once it start deforming, it should not break, and F is the breaking point. So higher the F, higher will be ductility. So lower the B, so lower the B, higher will be ductility. So this area B T G H is the measure of ductility. So area B H G F is measure of ductility of material. The material is said to be ductile when it is capable of being drawn into wires under tensile load. So to be drawn into wires, the material should have low elastic limit and high breaking point. So B and F should be as far as possible for higher ductility. Okay, so this is ductility. Ductility. Okay. Achha. Now on cast iron or some brittle material, there is no permanent deformation or there is slight permanent deformation. So the metal start deforming permanently after point B. Okay, so there will be no yielding region in cast iron. So the graph of the cast iron will be like this straight line A, B, C, D, E, F. All points are same because at point B it will break. There will be no permanent deformation. Okay. For rubber and elastic material, they do not follow the elastic behavior or do not follow the proportional behavior. They follow elastic behavior, but they do not follow proportional behavior. It means stress is not directly proportional to strain. So the graph is curved like this. Okay. So that's why the rubber and cast iron has not been taken to has not been taken as testing material. Okay. Okay. Next is strain hardening. Next, strain hardening. Suppose we deform material between yielding regions. Okay, so B dash B will be permanent deformation. Okay, when we remove load, it will uh, express the same extension up to point B dash is load yield point, and if we move load further, the graph will be like that, reverse. Okay, so this deformation will remain in the material. Okay, next time you will load it, the graph, the elastic limit will be point B, because up to point B it will not deform. So its elastic limit has been increased. So it means it has been hardened. This process is called strain hardening. Strain hardening. Strain hardening. Okay, so this is a similar case. Okay, so next is extension of bar. So this is test and curve. The next topic is extension of bar. If we apply a load in a material and it deforms by del L, okay, then stress is P by A, P by area, and strain is del L by L, that is epsilon, and sigma is P E epsilon. So from the Hooke's law, okay, if we put the value of sigma P by A and epsilon del L by L, then it will give uh, extension del L. Okay, del L is PL by A. This is a simple relationship between stress strain curve. Okay, thank you.